What's going on, guys? Welcome back to the KBR Sports YouTube channel. In today's video, I'm going to be giving you my top five NBA Christmas Day games from this decade, with the year coming to an end and going into the next decade. So stay tuned for the video and we'll get right to it. Alright guys, thanks for tuning in for the video. Make sure you guys watch the entire video, and of course, if you're not already, make sure you go ahead and hit the subscribe button. Make sure you leave a like on this video as well, and of course, leave a comment. Maybe you guys have a different list of your top 5 games from the decade so far, and you want to let me know the games that you think I should have picked or you think that should be on the list. So go ahead and leave your top 5 down below in the comment section. But guys, before I get too far off the rails, let me just jump right into it, because obviously we normally get the best slate of games on Christmas Day. We get the games with the biggest storylines from the previous season going into this year, as well as we normally have a rematch of the two finals teams going up against each other, just depending on what the circumstances. So there's a lot of things that do go into the Christmas Day games, particularly rivalries and all that. So I think a lot of that has to get taken into account when we're making the list, like rivalry, the storyline behind the game, the quality of the game, and the stars playing in the game, and what that game meant at that point in time for those stars and for us as a fan base. So let me start off with number 5. So my number 5 game of the top 5 games of the decade on Christmas Day was the Lakers versus the Knicks in Christmas of 2012. So for me, that game was such a great game. Obviously, the Lakers took it 194 against the Knicks, but it came at a time period where Kobe and Carmelo were the 1 and 2 scorers in the NBA. Literally, Kobe was 1, Melo was 2. And in this game, both guys put up 34 points, which was really impressive. And when you see it from a scoring standpoint, you really got to see them put their scoring skills and abilities on full display throughout the whole game. And particularly Melo going up against Metta World Peace, you saw all the things in Melo's arsenal that was just so impressive. And you kind of forget after this past 2 years of people really bashing what Melo has become, and you forget what he was at his apex, and particularly on those Knicks teams when you look back and they were second in the standings behind a Miami Heat team. So it's really impressive to see what they were performing as in that game. And when you look at the quality of that roster, when you see they had Raymond Felton, Tyson Chandler, J.R. Smith, and then Melo, and of course on the Lakers side of things, this was really, if you think about it, it was really the last time or one of the few last times we really saw prime Kobe Bryant being able to do his thing, because this was the year where Kobe, of course, at the end of the year tears his Achilles, and it would be the last Christmas Day game where we were to get the vintage Kobe performance, and Kobe didn't fail to disappoint, or he didn't fail to obviously put on a show for everybody. And he was really, when you think about it, that lineup that they put out there, the starting lineup of Steve Nash, Kobe Bryant, Metta World Peace, Pau Gasol, and Dwight Howard, that season, that team had only played 19 games together. And so when you really got to see it, especially on Christmas Day, all the buildup for that team coming in was huge. And so it was such an anticipated game, and that team was so anticipated. And I think at that point in time, they were 14-14, so they hadn't fully lived up to expectations, but a lot of that had to do with the fact that they had injuries from Pau Gasol, Steve Nash, Dwight Howard. The injuries just went down the whole roster. So it was really impressive to see Kobe at this point in time, which I don't think Kobe gets enough credit for, that at this point he was 34 years old and he was leading the NBA in scoring at that time. And the way he played that season, it was just so efficient, and you saw the longevity, the skill, like the way people are amazed with how LeBron has been able to extend his prime and so on. Kobe did that, and you see it in this game, just how well he was at scoring. He was such a good scorer, and so that's why this game ranks at number 5 for me. While it might not have had immediate impact on either team's standings versus each other in the conference standings and so on, it was a great game from the standpoint of it mattered towards the end, and it involved physicality. Like you even see Metta World Peace get into it with Tyson Chandler. You see Melo kind of gets into a Metta World Peace at different points in time, and you just see Kobe Bryant at his scoring ability at its top and at its best, as well as Melo. So I'll definitely have to put that at number 5. So now for number 4, my number 4 game would definitely have to be the Heat versus the Thunder from Christmas Day of 2012. See, that game, now when we look at that game, it featured 6 Hall of Famers, okay? So LeBron, Dwayne Wade, Chris Bosh, Kevin Durant, Ray Allen, and Russell Westbrook. All those guys, legitimate Hall of Famers. And it was a top, and if you want to, honestly, I don't know if people would consider Serge Ibaka to be in that class. I don't know if Serge Ibaka is a Hall of Fame kind of guy, but it depends on how you rank him, because he is a champion at this point, and he is a previously All-Star in the NBA, so I don't know how he would fall in the NBA All-Time Pantheon of Hall of Famers. But in this game, it's pretty cool because when you're going back and you're looking at it, I was impressed to see just LeBron and Kevin Durant really go at it. And granted, even though the Heat do win this game, it was very emblematic of what went down in the NBA Finals. Like, it was, you got that feel from watching the game that, oh yeah, the Thunder got next. Like, the Thunder were going to be the next team up. And really, it was a battle between 1 and 2, the top team in the NBA in the Thunder and the top team in the Eastern Conference in the Miami Heat. And that's what everybody wanted. Like, don't forget, the Thunder got to the finals at such a young age that everybody assumed the Thunder were going to be getting back there for years. And LeBron at that point was at his apex. It felt like there was nothing LeBron couldn't do. And so you're watching these two teams go at it, and you're just seeing Kevin Durant. He leads the game in scoring 33 points, and then you see LeBron, Wade, and Bosh combined for 65 points. It was just so impressive because at that point in time, it was like these guys were just babies, but they were holding their own against the King and Dwayne Wade and Chris Bosh. And don't even mention Ray Allen, Shane Battier, and the rest of the guys that are on that roster. So it was a very good game from that standpoint, and generally it was great to see them go at each other. I think that's very understated, and a lot of times when it comes to star matchups, when the guys are actually guarding one another, it just adds to the crowd excitement and the crowd intensity of the game. It feels more like a playoff matchup than a regular season game, particularly when the best players are guarding one another. So that will land that game for me at number 4. Now, number 3 would definitely have to be Clippers versus Warriors of Christmas 2013, where the Warriors won 105-103. Now, I think up to that point, everybody knew these two teams had bad blood. And without a doubt, that's part of the reason why this game got scheduled, because even the year prior, they had ejections, guys were getting in each other's face in the game, and of course this game wasn't too far along from that path of obviously animosity. And you see early Draymond Green gets ejected from the game, and from that ejection, him and Blake Griffin both get technicals, and then Blake Griffin later on gets into a mix and he gets ejected out of the game. And so the level of animosity between the two teams literally added to the quality of the game, because you could just tell on different plays, different scrappy plays, they didn't like each other. And so it made for a great storyline going into the game, for the build-up, everything. Let alone it was a close game that came down to literally a Jamal Crawford miss at the end. It came down to that. So it was a great game, and you could tell Chris Paul, when you see a younger Chris Paul put his talents on display, guys, he was so good. Like, it was just amazing. Like, the moves he was in, the dribble moves to create space and all that stuff, the things that Chris Paul was doing, it was just so impressive to watch. And he was legitimately going at Steph Curry. That's what was most impressive. Like, he was not shying away from going at Steph Curry or going at Klay Thompson. He was going at their necks. And this is before the Warriors became the Warriors with the music behind their backs when they came onto the court. So obviously at that point in time, the Clippers were the more favored team to get to the NBA Finals. But then we all know what happened from that point on. So that is what it is. But that would get that game for me at number 3, especially since it even had a controversial no call to end the game. So definitely has the storyline, all that behind it. Number 3 for me in my book. And I forgot to also mention that this was a conference game. So they even included some stakes in regards to conference playoff standings. So definitely number 3 in my book. Now, number two would have to be the Chicago Bulls versus the Los Angeles Lakers, Christmas Day of 2011. Fantastic game, not even from the standpoint of razzle-dazzle plays all throughout the game, but it was just a well-played basketball game. I don't even know how else to describe it to you. In terms from a defensive standpoint, they only scored, the Bulls won scoring 88 points, Lakers 87 points, and the Bulls during that time period were the best defensive team in basketball. But they were that team that was, now let me remind you guys, this was fresh off of the Derrick Rose MVP season. This is the year, at the end of the year, where Derrick Rose tears his ACL. So we still have technically MVP caliber Derrick Rose right here. And I tell you, he did not fail to show out. Like, Derrick Rose was just hitting moves, hitting layups, contorting his body in all these different ways. It was like, yo, what? And I also got to remind you guys, this was during the lockout year. So this was one of the first games of that NBA season, because we had a lockout of that season. So it was only 60 something games played that year. And so this was one of the first games that was played. And it was a hell of a way for the year to be ushered in when you have Derrick Rose pretty much win the game off a game winner. And he's going up against the Lakers, who the previous year had just gotten swept by the Dallas Mavericks. And so it was obvious Kobe wanted to come back and get retribution, and he showed out in that game. I mean, Kobe scores 28, Derrick Rose puts in 22, and it was just so amazing because it was kind of like the perfect swan song for Derrick Rose in a way, because Derrick Rose coming off that MVP season, and everybody had such high hopes for that Bulls team because they were underdog in a lot of ways because of the fact that it was only Derrick Rose leading that team as the offensive leader, and he was making plays for that team that nobody else could really make as a scoring threat. And in a lot of ways, you ended up cheering for him. And then when he hits that shot for the Bulls on the road in Los Angeles, you see the whole crowd just get the energy just get sapped out of the crowd. You see Kobe's body language just go like, come on, man. And it was just such a great game just to see those two go at it. And I wish we could have got more from Derrick Rose. Just more of that from Derrick Rose for the years. But just going back and being able to watch it, it's so crazy. And you even look at the game, it looks so different. You look at the spacing of the court, of guys, where they're standing at, the game just looks entirely different. But that will be my number 2. And for number 1, of course, I had to do Christmas Day 2016 Cleveland Cavaliers against the Golden State Warriors. Now, this game, this game is one of the best Christmas Day. I probably think it's and of all time, it's probably one of the best top 5 Christmas Day games played of all time, because this was coming off of the NBA Finals where the Warriors blew the 3-1 lead, and they were the 73-9 team. Just got Kevin Durant. This is the first matchup between the two teams, so all of that stuff that has been boiling over the offseason, all the anticipation of these two teams going up against each other, all manifested in this game. And everybody wanted to see if the Cleveland Cavaliers could hold their own against this Golden State Warriors team. And remember, when Kevin Durant initially went to Golden State, the notion was, oh, the season's over. There's no chance. The Cavs don't stand a chance. There's no chance for them. So this, in a lot of ways, was for a lot of people seeing, are they really going to get run off the floor like that? Is it really that much of a preconceived notion that the Golden State Warriors are the champions? And just seeing the high stakes of this game, this really felt like a playoff game. Like, if you look at different moments in the game, I mean, we had 7 Hall of Famers in this game. We had Kevin Durant, Klay Thompson, Steph Curry, Draymond Green, LeBron James, Kevin Love, Kyrie Irving. Like, there's multiple Hall of Fame caliber guys playing in this game. And it was down to the wire. It was won off a game-winning buzzer-beating shot. Or not a buzzer-beating shot, but it came off a game winner by Kyrie Irving, who had just hit the shot in the NBA Finals that won the Cavaliers the championship. So all these things, and even the fact that the Cavs had to battle back into the game. And you look at the crowd right here. When LeBron makes this dunk, you even tell that he's so into it because he's shaking the rim. He's so involved in it, and just all these little plays in there that you just see the importance of this game to that fan base, the team, and everything like that. And the shot by Kyrie, just beautiful mastery, and you just see his full skill, his sort of scoring ability on that shot. Like, just listen to the crowd, guys. I'm gonna let you guys hear the crowd just for these two. Listen to him.
It's wrong. Here comes Irving, drives on Thompson. Irving spins, puts up the shot. It's good! Kyrie Irving with 3.4 remaining, and the Warriors call timeout. Irving does it again to the Warriors.
Unbelievable. Unbelievable. That's all I can say, man. That's all I can say. It was such a great game to watch. I never forget watching that game. So that would definitely be my number 1. Now, for honorable mention, I was really stuck between this and the Lakers and Knicks at 5, and I was going to say the 2018 Christmas Day game between the Boston Celtics and the Philadelphia 76ers. So this was an honorable mention because it could have arguably been number 5. So I just it was dependent on which way you wanted to go. But this game went into overtime, everything like that. Kyrie went off for 40 points and 10 rebounds. It was his first 40-point, 10-rebound game of his career. Joel Embiid put in 34 points, 16 rebounds, 2 blocks, including this chase down block that you're going to see right here. And it was just an amazing game from the standpoint that we had so many stars in it. You had Kyrie, you had Joel Embiid, you had Jimmy Butler, Ben Simmons, Al Horford, just so many different names that were involved in this game. And it was such a good flow of the game all throughout. And then, of course, their 2 Eastern Conference rivals teams, because don't forget, right before this game, the Sixers had just been eliminated by the Celtics in the postseason without Kyrie Irving being there. So it was really one of those situations where people were saying like, okay, well, how do these two teams measure up against each other? Like, which team is superior to them in the Eastern Conference? So it was a great game. Kyrie Irving put on so much of a show. I mean, any game where Kyrie scores a crap ton of points and bedazzles you while doing it is definitely a contender to make top 5 games of the decade from Christmas Day. But guys, that's going to wrap it up for this video. Let me know what you guys think. Which games you guys think deserve to rank in the top 5? Do you agree with my choices? Of course, leave your comments down below. Let me know what you guys think. And of course, make sure you like this video if you haven't already. Make sure you hit the subscribe button and make sure you hit the notification bell so that way you get notified whenever a new video is posted on this channel. You won't miss a beat whenever a new video is posted. And then make sure you subscribe to the KBR Sports Podcast as well so you can get all different kinds of content with me talking sports on a different platform separate away from just video. But guys, of course, I appreciate you all for tuning into this video. If I don't put out another video after this one, Merry Christmas, Happy Holidays to y'all, and be safe. Thank you guys.